Have you ever wondered if one of the oldest stories in the world wasn't actually about the distant past? What if it was really a detailed map? A map of your inner world, a guide to a battle that's happening inside you right now.
Seriously, think about that for a second. We're going to explore a really fascinating, kind of esoteric interpretation of the Garden of Eden, one that completely reframes it, not as some historical event, but as a symbolic blueprint for how our own minds work. So, to even begin to understand this hidden code, we've got to meet the person who brought this interpretation to the West, a man named Paramhansa Yogananda. And believe me, his journey to finding this knowledge was, well, anything but ordinary. From his earliest memories, Yogananda's world was just filled with things that you can't easily explain. He'd have these incredibly vivid visions of saints in the Himalayas. He'd experienced these moments of pure chance that felt way more like destiny. It was all hinting at this other reality, one that's humming just beneath the surface of our everyday lives. His whole life felt like it was following this kind of spiritual treasure map. As a kid, he was given this silver amulet that was prophesied to protect him until he met his master, and then it would just vanish. And it did. Later, the heartbreaking grief of his mother's death just poured fuel on his fire to find a teacher. He ran away from home twice trying to get to the Himalayas, and on the way, he met these incredible people, saints who could supposedly be in two places at once, scientists studying the consciousness of plants. It seemed like every single step, every one of these strange encounters was pushing him toward one specific person.
And when Yogananda finally met that person, his guru, Sri Yukteswar, his master handed him a secret key. A key to unlocking one of the West's most foundational stories. Sir Yukteswar told him, look, the story of Eden was never, ever meant to be taken literally. It's actually a profound allegory, a symbolic language that describes the inner landscape of every single human being. So what do all those symbols actually mean? Okay, this is where we actually decode the map. The tree of life, that's not some plant in a garden. It's your body, and your spine is its trunk. Adam isn't just the first guy. He represents your own faculty of reason. And Eve, she isn't just the first woman. She symbolizes your emotion, your feeling. Now the serpent, that's the powerful, coiled life force energy that sits at the base of your spine. And that famous apple, it stands for the incredibly powerful pull of our physical senses. So here's the big takeaway. The fall from grace isn't something that happened thousands of years ago to two people. It's an internal process that happens in us. It's that moment when your raw emotion, your inner Eve, gets swept away by the temptation of intense sensory experience, the serpent. And then your reason, your inner Adam, instead of being the clear guide, just kind of shrugs and goes along for the ride. And that's what creates this constant state of inner conflict and imbalance. And this inner battlefield, it isn't some abstract philosophical idea. It plays out in our lives every single day, pulling us in directions we don't even consciously want to go. Imagine your consciousness is a chariot, right? But it's being pulled by these four wild horses. You've got curiosity, which is constantly yanking your attention towards the next notification, the next distraction. Then there's desire, telling you that if you just buy that thing or get that promotion, then you'll be happy. And of course, there's fear and greed, trapping us in this endless loop of anxiety and never feeling like we have enough. When these forces are in charge, we're not driving our own lives at all. We're just getting dragged along. This really gets to the heart of it, doesn't it? We can live in one of two states. In that unbalanced state, our inner Adam becomes this cold, detached, calculating logic. And our inner Eve becomes this blind, reactive, chaotic emotion. They're basically at war with each other. But in the balanced state, Adam transforms into this clear, discerning awareness. He sees things as they are. And Eve becomes this deep, powerful compassion. She can accept what is and just dissolve negativity. They're working together in harmony. So, the big question is, how do we get from that state of conflict to a state of balance? Well, according to these teachings, it's not about making a few small tweaks here and there. It requires a total, radical shift in how we live. There's this concept, shugyo, which we often translate as practice, but it doesn't mean just trying to fix a few bad habits. It's about having this powerful realization that your entire way of living, your whole collection of habits, reactions, and beliefs is what's keeping you stuck on a track you didn't choose. So true practice means making a clean, total break from that entire system. Because if we're honest, without that radical break, we're all just following a default life script. We're born, we go through youth, we age, we get sick, and eventually we die. Our ingrained habits, the ones that keep Adam and Eve at war inside us,
pretty much guarantee we stay on this path without ever deviating. And that's the core message, and it's a huge one. You can't just edit your way to freedom. You can't just promise to be a little less reactive or a little more mindful. You have to fundamentally change your entire operating system. You have to leap off the tracks of that default script altogether. So how in the world do you actually make that leap? Well, this new way of living is built on a principle that is, honestly, probably the most shocking and controversial part of this whole framework. It all revolves around what these teachings consider to be the true currency of life.
Think about it. We chase pleasure, right? We see it as a reward, as the goal of life. But what if it had a hidden cost? A very, very real cost. What is the actual price we pay for intense sensory experience? And no, according to the source material, that is not a metaphor. It literally claims the physical price you pay is your vital essence, which is defined as the marrow in your bones and the fluid in your brain and spine. So here's how the thinking goes. Powerful sensory experiences, and especially sexual ones, cause the body to literally expel this core vital essence. This isn't just seen as some minor loss of fluid, it's viewed as spending your fundamental life capital. And over time, this depletion is said to weaken your body, make your mind foggy, speed up the aging process, and ultimately keep you trapped on that default script of sickness and death. So, if you're looking at the world through this lens, the single most important investment you can possibly make is the conservation of this energy. It becomes the bedrock, the foundational practice that allows for physical health, mental clarity, and the spiritual horsepower you need to actually change your life and step off that default path for good. In the end, this ancient story, when you decode it this way, asks us a very modern and very personal question. When you really look at your own life, the constant pull of distraction, of desire, of fear, who's in control? Are you being dragged along by those four wild horses, a prisoner on your own inner battlefield? Or are you the one holding the reins, consciously driving your life from a place of balance and inner peace? The story suggests the choice is always yours.